Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be interviewing Bay Area-based horror host, Lord Blood-Rah. He's the host of Wrackin Theatre. I'm going to have him on the show today. I've recently become aware of him. He's out there in I believe San Leandro, and he's syndicated throughout the Bay Area and stuff. He's been on the air probably about 5 or 6 years or so, and he's a pretty interesting character. He's also the organizer of Creatures Con every summer in San Ramon as well, and I'm going to have him on the show and talk about all that stuff today and find out a lot more. And it's going to be pretty good. I love interviewing horror hosts because a lot of you know I am aspiring to be one myself. So yeah, here is my new interview with Lord Blood-Rah. Hey Lord, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Doing very well. How are you?
I am just great. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes. Wow, so going back to the beginning, did you fall in love with horror early on?
Yes. Ever since I was a little geeky child, I loved horror and science fiction. To tell you the truth, my first geek love, I call it, was the Planet of the Apes. Everything to do with Planet of the Apes and Star Trek later. But then a show came on in my local area. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area. Called Creature Features with Bob Wilkins. And that opened up the realms of Universal horror, Hammer horror, 50s sci-fi, the entire genre that I fell in love with. So, yeah, ever since I was a little geeky, I've loved these films.
Nice, yeah. I'm from San Mateo.
Oh, okay. So you, if you were of an age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Bob Wilkins and later John Stanley, right?
Oh, yes. I know John. I've interviewed him on the podcast.
Wonderful.
But they both had stopped doing it by the time I was able to remember. I mean, the hosts I grew up on were like Commander USA, Rhonda Shear, Joe Bob Briggs, and Elvira. I didn't see her show, but I watched her commercials and, of course, her movie.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Well, they were, around that time you had the national hosts like Commander USA, like you say. The Ghoul was on every once in a while on I think it was Channel 44 Saturday afternoons. Was on for a couple of months. I remember seeing him there, and yeah, there were a few horror hosts around at that time. Mm-hmm.
And of course, Svengoolie's been around forever.
Oh yeah, well he's America's horror host now because of being one, for being at it for so long, and two, with being with MeTV. From what I understand, he's on something like 98% of the television markets in the United States.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's got a wide following, widespread. And that's fantastic, too, because before Svengoolie really kind of spread and got popular, I would say to some people who weren't familiar with the genre, I'm a horror host. And they would say, well, what is that? What do you mean by that? And now I say, most times I'd be able to say, like, Creature Features, and they would say, oh, I understand. But now I just say, well, Svengoolie showing movies. Oh, then they get it. So he's really popularized the genre now.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people I've met that have heard of him, and it's so amazing. I mean, he's actually taken over, like, Elvira's popularity.
Oh, yes, yeah, definitely. Because Elvira's just not hosting anymore. She's doing convention appearances, and
right.
DVDs are still for sale, but...
Right. Do you remember the first horror movie you ever saw?
Oh, the first horror movie I ever saw, no, I'm not sure. I know that the first Universal horror film horror comedy I saw was Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure that was the first one because that cartoon beginning really stuck in my head. I went, "What is this? This is great!" And then okay, it's not a cartoon; it's
Yeah.
a movie. And then realizing that that introduction to all the monsters all at once was just wonderful. I'm pretty sure that was the first one because then I remember being so excited to go back and see the original films that the monsters all originated in. So yeah, it was having Costello Meet Frankenstein. Probably on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. When I was 2 years old, my parents showed me The Shining.
Whoa, hello.
Yeah.
That explains a lot, Tommy.
Yeah.
Wow, The Shining. Wow.
Yeah, it scared me really badly.
Oh, sure, yeah. There's more than meets the eye going on in that movie. There's a lot of little subliminal stuff that you catch after repeated showings that are just really freaky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What are your favorite horror movies?
Oh, it depends on the day. I'll say, I love obviously Night of the Living Dead. I think that is just a masterpiece given the fact of what George Romero and John Russo had to work with. Yeah, it's just really incredible the film that they made. They originated a brand new type of monster. They created the modern zombie genre with one low budget film, and that's an absolutely incredible film. But I go back again to the Universal horror films. I love all of them. Big fan of Hammer. Really enjoy them. Big fan of William Castle. I love all of his films. I think that he's known for the in-theater gimmicks and that kind of thing, like the skeleton on a wire in House on Haunted Hill and Emergo, as he called it, and wiring the seats in the Tingler to buzz. Percepto, he called that gimmick. But I think overall, he was just a very good, solid director. His films stand up to this day. I love House on Haunted Hill. Love the Tingler. I think his films are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the slasher and zombie movies that we've seen in the last 40 plus years and stuff. But I love the black and white classics. I love the Universal films. I love the Roger Corman films like Little Shop of Horrors and Bucket of Blood. And
oh yeah, Bucket of Blood was one of my favorites and was the first movie I showed on my TV show, Lord Blood-Rah's Wrackin Theatre. It was the very first film that I hosted.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I love all of those and stuff. Hammer movies, I never really got into them that much.
They took a totally different tack with the classic monsters. I enjoyed them. I was really fascinated with the way they approached Frankenstein, where the monster was not the through character. It was Baron Frankenstein. Baron Frankenstein was the monster, and these monsters he made along the way were just kind of byproducts of his insane determination to create life or to master life or whatever he was trying to do. I don't know. It's really strange. He succeeded so many times. He just kept trying to perfect it, and yeah. But I enjoyed the Hammer films. Christopher Lee is an amazing Dracula. Of course, Bela to me will always be Dracula. I've been growing up watching those movies, but Christopher Lee is a great actor and a really commanding presence as Dracula.
I totally agree.
I wonder if you remember, if you're old enough to remember, probably not. There were a series of films made by Dan Curtis, who did Dark Shadows. There were late night films. He did a version of Dracula, a version of Frankenstein, and a version of Jekyll and Hyde. And the Dracula and Jekyll and Hyde starred Jack Palance.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Remember those?
I remember the Jack Palance Dracula, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. that was pretty good. He did a good job with that. I would not have expected that. And I liked him as Jekyll and Hyde too. I thought he did a really good job with that.
Was Jekyll and Hyde the Kirk Douglas one?
No. This was Jack Palance. Jack Palance played Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, okay. Because I know Kirk
Douglas one. Oh, wait a minute now.
He did a TV horror movie. I know that.
Yeah, now that you say that, I was going to say, no, Chris Douglas, I don't think ever played it, but you're right. I haven't seen that version in a long time.
Yeah.
Huh.
But one of my favorite '80s vampire movies, Fright Night, pays homage to Hammer films, which I was not aware of until recently. I was like, wow, that's probably the closest to Hammer that I really love is Fright Night.
Well, yeah. And you gotta love a movie with a horror host in it.
Yeah, with Roddy McDowell.
Peter Vincent, right? Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Played that character. Yeah, as an old, washed-up kind of camera horror actor, and becomes a horror host.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a really good film. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Do you think today's horror movies are just way too dark and serious, and they don't have the sense of humor that they used to?
Overall, yes. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, it's become kind of the modern trend for horror films to be truly horrific and to truly terrify you. And some do. I mean, some are great at what they do. But I always preferred, something with a little bit more of a sense of humor, a little bit more kind of where the movie is in on the joke, as opposed to really taking itself all that seriously. Yeah, but
yeah.
No, there are some very good recent horror films. I see very few recent horror films. One of the ones I was really impressed with, this is even going back a few years, was Insidious. I loved Insidious. I thought that was a very good film. Let's see. But the newer, I have yet to see Heredity, but I've heard fantastic things about it. I would like to see that. Have you seen it, Heredity?
Heredity, I've heard it's good.
Okay. I would like to see it. I have not seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think that horror nowadays is too serious and too dark, and its originality is pretty much antiquated and stuff. I think everything's been done pretty much. Yeah,
I mean, there's got to be something new out there. There's got to be a new way to. Well, it seems the way horror seems to go is it reflects the anxiety of the period.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I tweeted this to Dana Gould a while back. I think that a really good idea for a modern horror film would be reality totally giving way underfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you thought you knew was totally wrong. Everything you think you know one day is totally changed the next day, and it changes within the next hour. There is no reality. There is no truth, which is kind of what America's going through now. I think that would be a very interesting premise for a horror film. Same thing with the science fiction films, but if somebody could find a new way to do that, I think that would be very interesting. Going back to the old horror films, I just heard today, in fact, that Universal Studios is going to go ahead with their remake of The Invisible Man, after I thought that their attempt to bring back the Universal monster films was dead.
Huh, that might work.
Yeah, just heard that today, and they're going to do it in collaboration with Blue Mouse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that could be good. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I wonder who'd play him.
I don't know. I heard that Johnny Depp was signed to do The Invisible Man. I don't know if that's still the case.
Huh. Now, Johnny Depp, he's been doing a lot of weird stuff the last decade or so. He played the Lone Ranger. He played, the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, yeah.
Willy Wonka, of course. Oh, my God. He's been doing some weird stuff.
He has. He hasn't been able to catch a break. And he picks some pretty strange roles.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, for the Invisible Man, I'd like to see, oh, come on, what's his name? He was in V for Vendetta. Do you know what I'm talking about? The actor who, in the Modern Wolfman, he was the inspector. Oh, come on, I can't think of his name now.
Colin Farrell?
Oh, no, he was in The Matrix. He was the agent in The Matrix.
Keanu Reeves?
I'm sorry?
Keanu Reeves?
Not Keanu Reeves. He was a bad guy in The Matrix.
Oh, I forget.
Yeah, because he doesn't seem to mind not showing his face on screen. He seems to be okay with it. He seems to be okay with wearing either heavy makeup or not being on screen at all. And he's got a really powerful, great voice. He'd be interesting to see the Invisible Man. It's quote unquote.
I don't know. Let's see. There's Keanu Reeves and there's Lawrence Fishburne, and then I can't remember who else is in it.
Yeah, I want to say Viggo Mortensen. I know it's not Viggo Mortensen, but it's a name like that, something like that. I don't know. I'm sure all your listeners are screaming at their speakers right now.
Yeah.
It's so okay.
Yeah. So how did you become Lord Blood-Rah?
Well, I was really lucky in that a very good friend of the family's owns a winery in Castro Valley, California. Mm-hmm. And I introduced the winemaker to Plan 9 from Outer Space, which he fell in love with. He didn't know movies like this existed. He loved it. And he said, well, we got to show this movie at the winery because they do live events in the area of the winery there. We got to show this movie. And I'm like, well, great, but you're going to need a host. Yeah. So we found a host for it. It wasn't me, but we found a host for it. And there was some miscommunication. Some things went well, some didn't. And then the next day, he's over at my place. We're sitting there having a glass of wine, him, me, and my wife. And he said, well, I want to do it again. I want to make this a yearly thing. Do you know anyone else who could host? And I said, John Stanley was getting up there by that time and not doing anything live anymore. And I was like, no, I don't. And my wife turned to me and said, why the hell don't you do it? I said, well, okay, yes. And off in the distance, thunder clapped and a wolf howled, and I became Lord Blood-Rah. I just tore away all of my inhibitions about being a lifelong geek and donned the top hat and have never looked back since. That was 10 years ago.
Wow, 10 years ago.
10 years ago. I've been hosting for 10 years. 10 years doing live. I've been a horror host for 10 years. I started doing live events, and then in 2009. Mm-hmm. Then I started a TV show in 2000. It was 2011.
Wow.
Started doing a TV show.
Wow. Yeah. So I watched the show on the internet, YouTube, and is it out there? Is it on public access or UHF stations?
It's a combination of both. It depends on where you are. On YouTube, all I've got up there right now, and it's been that way for a while, is the first season. Yeah. That's all the first season. And I'm thinking about taking those down because, they're perfectly fine, but the show has gotten better. And, this was when I really didn't know what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just more confident about it now. Yeah. So, I'm thinking about changing that, but it's on a combination of stations. For instance, in the Midwest, in Peoria, Illinois, and Fort Wayne, Indiana, 559 in Fort Wayne. I'm on My TV Fort Wayne. And here in the Bay Area, I'm on a TV station called North Bay TV, which is broadcast, but it's also an online app, and it's a broadcast station and streaming station and an app.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on there Tuesday nights at 10. And I'm on a combination of different streaming and broadcast stations all over the country. All broadcast streaming all over the world, really. I'm on Chabot TV, which streams every night at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time, and a few other places. The best thing to do is go to LordBlood-Rah.com and look at TV schedules to see where you can catch the show.
Mm-hmm. I would keep the old ones on YouTube, but definitely put the new ones on, so you give your subscribers a variety.
Yeah, I think you're right. The only problem I run into with YouTube is there are these constant and ridiculous copyright claims, and I know for certain that everything that I show is public domain. I know it for a fact. But I'll get, for instance, the first copyright claim I got when I started putting my show up there was against my theme song. I wrote and performed my theme song, so I know no one else owns the rights to it. So it's just really strange. I'm toying with going over to Vimeo. I understand that there are far fewer problems in that respect with Vimeo.
Mm-hmm.
That's a possibility. I might be adding shows to Vimeo soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the time schedules and stuff, so it's generally on during the week and not the weekend, like Creature Features and everyone else who has horror shows.
Well, no, I'm only on North Bay TV is the only one that's during the week. Everything else is Friday, Saturday nights.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, North Bay TV is Tuesday at 10, but the two in the Midwest are Saturday nights at, I might have misspoke, but Saturday nights at 10 o'clock.
Nice. So do you film it on a sound stage?
Well, you could call it that. It's a room here at Blood-Rah Manor. I guess you could call it a sound stage. I guess it's an area that I point the camera at. So I guess it's a stage.
Yeah, I like the whole setup. You created a simple set for the show. It's like a bedroom with horror props on the wall, and sometimes you're sitting in front of a shrine, or sometimes standing on another side of the room. It looks very guerrilla-style TV filming, but very well put together.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it pretty much is that. Over the seasons, it's kind of calmed down to where I'm at a table on that same set, and the set has evolved, and the lighting has evolved too. I mean, it's still a multicolored lighting, which I love. I love the kind of Mario Bava, Coffin Joe, multicolored lights, and that's the way I like filming the show. But the look of the show has evolved a bit over time. But thank you for that compliment. I appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure.
It is pretty much guerrilla TV in that the way the TV show started was I was doing a panel at a convention a few years after I started doing live presentations. I was doing a panel about horror hosting. And somebody stood up and said, I'm with a local public access station. Would you like to do a TV show with us? And I said, yes. And that was before I owned the camera, before I knew anything about doing this kind of thing. And I just dove in and did it.
Mm-hmm.
I just dove in and started writing, started filming. So I guess, you can call it guerrilla TV, and then it's just me doing it. What I film is what I get, essentially.
Yeah, I was looking at sound stages in the Bay Area because I'm working pre-production on my own horror show pilot, and I cannot believe how expensive sound stages are. But then I found this website, peerspace.com, where you can rent studios for like 2 hours for like $40 or something. And I thought, oh, that's a steal.
Oh yeah, that's a good price. But I mean, you know what? If you've got a space and you've got some lights, and just go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a number of horror hosts out there that are doing it exactly that way, and they're not going the whole route of the commercial soundstage. They're just, again, guerrilla TV. They're setting up their set, pointing some lights at themselves, and just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's the quickest and most the least costly way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll see what happens with that though. Not going to start shooting until the spring though. But we'll see what happens. Was it a personal decision on your part not to get like local celebrity guests on the show?
Pretty much, yeah. Because I have from time to time had guests on. I didn't have anybody on in the first season, but I have had guests on the show. I prefer the show to be to give the audience the feeling that I'm watching the movie with them.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I will from time to time have guests on. The only time I had a guest on pretty much throughout the entire episode was when I hosted a film called Nightmare and Blood. The guest was John Stanley, who wrote and directed it. So I had him on consistently throughout the thing. But when I have guests on, I'll do maybe one or two segments with them. But I like everything centering on the movie. All the bits I do, and the jokes I do, and the comments I make, all center on the film. So to me, it's all about these movies and presenting these movies to the audience, and watching these movies with the audience. I like pointing out the more ridiculous things and making fun of them, or doing a small skit based on them, or if I find something that relates to another movie, doing a callback to another film, or that kind of a thing. So I will be having other guests sometime in the future, and I don't rule out guests, but by and large, it's pretty much me and the audience. And me presenting the film to the audience.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do the guest thing when I do my show and stuff. So that'll be cool.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's a wide range, of course. Having done this podcast for a while, quite a few people who can be on. And there are a lot of people out there either in the genre or related to the genre that are great to talk to. Yeah. The Creature Features. Creature Features is primarily that. It's always guests. It's always Vincent interviewing a guest. And it works. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Has your following expanded since it first started?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it went from nobody watching to a pretty good audience happening in the Midwest and locally. Yeah, and I've seen that as well with the live shows. I've seen more and more people coming to the live shows as well, which is good. It used to be, it's still, the film is still the main draw. But I have had people say, "Oh, we're not hosting this and that. Let's go see it. Let's go check it out." So it's growing as I think the general tradition of horror hosting is growing. We seem to be in quite an upswing now. That may have something to do with, like, again, Spagulli being so popular.
Yeah.
So there are more and more horror hosts. Joe Bob Briggs just came back to Shudder, and he's doing Rick show now. And there's talk of Vampire doing another movie. I don't know if she's going to do another TV show, but she's doing a movie. So, there's I'm noticing a larger audience not only for myself, but also just for the horror host tradition.
Yeah, I did an email interview with Joe Bob Briggs last summer.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was lucky to get him at all, you know, and that was a very big highlight for me. Have you gotten so you've gotten a lot of support though from the Bay Area horror community?
Oh yes, I could not have started the show or done the live shows without that. Yeah, I mean the Bay Area horror community, and again, we all watched picture features as kids and grew up, and that was kind of a bond. You know, we all watched picture features. We all knew where we were on a Saturday night, and that's just kind of morphed into this really kind of solid, really supportive community here in the Bay Area. I mean, it's wonderful. There are people that you can count on for help when it comes to shows, and there are people that you know are gonna be out there in the audience and supporting the live shows and watching the TV show. It's really great.
Mm-hmm.
Really great. And that all goes back to Creature Features, and more importantly, Bob Wilkins, I think, who treated the show kind of like this gathering every Saturday night as opposed to just a horror host TV show. It became this meeting every Saturday night that really brought the Bay Area horror community together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just extraordinary.
Oh yeah.
So how did Creatures Con come about?
Creatures Con came about when Tom Wersch, who is a filmmaker and the official archivist of Creature Features, he made the documentary Watch Horror Films Keep America Strong, which is the documentary on the history of the Bay Area Creature Features. We both kind of looked around and said, you know, there's still strong support in the Bay Area and other places too for Creature Features, for Bob Wilkins and John Stanley's Creature Features. People, you know, love that show. They remember that show, but there's no convention dedicated to it. We ought to try to throw a convention to see, you know, what kind of response we get. And we did the first one a few years ago. This is our 8th year. So we did our first one, and man, it was great. It was great. People, oh yeah, I remember Creature Features. Love Bob, love John, and we just kept it going. It morphed over time. The first one we did at the Bal Theater in San Leandro, and that went really well. Like I say, drew a good crowd. From there, we moved to kind of do more of a pavilion and another convention. We hooked up with Big Wow Conventions, which is now East Bay Comic Con. Mm-hmm. That could morphed into Silicon Valley Comic Con, but then that kind of, you know, that's a long story. Anyway, we did a series of appearances at conventions every year, where we were just like the Creature Features Pavilion. And then we moved to the Wrackin Theatre for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was great because we were back to our own established, you know, we are the main attraction here. Come on in, we have the movie theater to show all the films and stuff, and dealers in the lobby. And then last year, the Wrackin Theatre closed. And they thought they were going to be closed forever. Luckily, they reopened, and I'm doing a show there on February 2nd. We're showing The Bride of Frankenstein.
Nice.
They had closed, and Tom and I looked at each other and said, okay, what are we going to do? Are we just going to fold it? Or are we going to take the next step, which we had always talked about, which was, one, becoming a full-fledged convention at a convention center or a hotel, and two, moving it beyond just being about Creature Features. Because we knew that eventually you're going to cover everything you can about that show, which we pretty much did
Mm-hmm.
So we've expanded our horizons a lot, and it's coming up again this year, July 7th, at the Centerville Marriott. We're coming back for our 9th year.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, speaking of Hammer Films, we have Veronica Carlson coming out as a guest.
Oh yeah, I actually I reached out to her on Facebook for an interview. She gave me an email address. Turns out it was an agent. Never heard back, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Well, from what I understand, she doesn't email.
Yeah.
As an agent,
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost went last year to Creatures Con because my friends John Provost and Laurie Jacobson were there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's great.
yeah, something came up and I couldn't go, but I'm going to try to make it out there this year before I move to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please do.
Yes.
Please do. Come out.
Fingers crossed on all of that. And I had been planning on going to East Bay Comic Con in a few weeks, but I don't know if that's going to happen now and stuff. I would have loved to go see Fred Williamson. I met him a couple of years ago.
Oh, great. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, they got a pretty good lineup. They got a pretty good lineup coming up there.
Yeah, I mean, it's expanded in popularity. They have more celebrities this year than they have in previous years, because I went 2 years ago when Dee Wallace was there, and Dee is a good friend of mine, and she was the only celebrity guest there.
Ah, okay. Well, and Steve Wyatt knows how to throw a convention. He's been doing it for years, and he's been a great help to Tom and I with organizing Creatures Con over the years. He's been a huge help because he's the voice of experience when it comes to doing conventions in the area.
Mm-hmm. And when the con first started, I mean, was it like very low in attendance?
We had, for the first convention, I want to say it was something like 100 and something people. But then again, we were in a theater, so we couldn't draw a huge amount of people. But it was a really good, loving crowd who were into it. Who grew up watching creature features and wanted to talk about it. See the film rarities that we had. Tom Hirsch had some amazing film footage from Bob's own collection of Bob Wilkins interviewing various celebrities and just various bits from the show and things like that. So it was not a huge attendance, but it was enough for us to know, okay, yeah, we're going to keep this going. This is something that people, at least fans, want to see, and we're going to keep this going.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. That's great. It takes a while for these things to build up, and then when they do, you're glad that they pay off. Like look at Sinister Creature Con Sacramento. I mean, it's when I went there for the first time 3 years ago, yeah, it was pretty small, but in the last 2 years since then, it's just gotten huge.
Yeah. I was a guest there last year, and I'm going to be a guest again this year. And that's a fun convention. That's a well put together show. I like it. They get great guests too.
Oh yeah. I try to remember. I think I tried to find you last year at Sister Creature Con. I didn't see you or something, but yeah, you and Al Omega were both there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find either of you and stuff. I was curious though, when you do a convention at a hotel like Creatures Con, does the hotel get people who work there to be security, money handlers, and panel hosts, or do you get like volunteers outside of it?
Well, it's both. The hotel handles the security,
right?
And they're taking care of the coffee stations and water stations and all that, and the catering if we're bringing in food and all that stuff. And then we have volunteers come in and handle the money, sell tickets, look after the vendors, look after the celebrity guests, and everything else. We do our own AV one-of-a-kind film presentations. For instance, last year, 2018 was the 50th anniversary of Night of the Living Dead.
Yep.
And I put together an original documentary called The Film That Built a Genre, 50 Years of Night of the Living Dead, and showed that there. And then Tom put together an original film tribute to Planet of the Apes. And we have a few things planned for this year that are going to be unique and one of a kind. As well as we also do, so far it's been 2 running features. One of them is called Mega Chiller Theater.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll do is we'll take a film. We never announce it. It's always a surprise as to what film it is. And then invite a number of horror hosts to contribute pieces to it. So it's one film, a whole host of horror hosts hosting this one film altogether. And that's fun, and that's been a popular segment. And then another thing that we do is the Monster Movie Quiz, which Bob Wilkins did in a TV special that he did in Sacramento called the Bob Wilkins Super Horror Show. And in the middle of that, he does this, it's a quick, 15-minute segment called the Monster Movie Quiz, which is set up like this kind of cheesy game show. And you show clips or images from old horror films and ask this panel of experts questions about them.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that and I thought, well, we've got to recreate that. I mean, that would be perfect to do at a convention. And this year will be, I think, the third year in a row that we've done it, and it's really popular. And to involve the audience in it, at the end, the celebrity panelists will draw names of audience members out of a hat, and they win the prizes.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, the reason I ask that is because I really want to host Q&A panels at conventions. It's like my main goal to do. And somebody told me a great way to get into the industry is to handle money for celebrities at conventions.
Oh, that may well be. I don't know about that. It's very possible.
Yeah. So that's why I was looking into it and stuff. 'Cause I was looking on the website last year. I didn't see a volunteer option on the website unless it's a Craigslist thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Usually, most convention sites will have a volunteer, a volunteer listing or something like that, or maybe just write the conventions and say, "Hey, I'd like to volunteer. I'd like to host a panel." Some conventions you can pitch panels too.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen before as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any episodes coming up this week?
Yes, this week. Let's see. Coming up in the as talking about February 2nd, in Peoria, Illinois, on My 59 and My TV Fort Wayne, they both show the same film, and this Saturday it's Battle Beyond the Sun.
Huh.
Which is an Americanized version of a Russian science fiction film that has some pretty fun hardware in it, few unintentional laughs, and monsters that are exactly what you think they look like. The monsters are anatomically interesting. I'll just put it that way. Anybody who sees Battle Beyond the Sun knows what I'm talking about.
Not anatomically correct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're anatomically intriguing, we'll say. And then, North Bay TV, I'm hosting House of the Dead, which was a 1970s, I believe, horror anthology film. It's probably better known as The Alien Zone. When it was in theaters, and it ran in theaters as The Alien Zone, and then when it switched to the public domain, I believe that's when it became House of the Dead. And, yeah, just check it. Again, best thing to do is check LordBlood-Rah.com to see what episodes are coming up and what's happening.
Cool. And you said you'll be hosting a screening of Bride of Frankenstein?
Yeah, Bride of Frankenstein, and that is this coming Saturday, February 2nd, at the Wrackin Theatre in Moraga. And for this show, I've actually got a co-host this time, Vanessa, Queen of Scream, who is a film host who's been around for quite a while and did a few live shows, and we're co-hosting the Bride of Frankenstein.
Vanessa,
8 o'clock at the Wrackin Theatre.
Vanessa, Queen of Scream. I'll look her up.
Oh yes, yeah, check her out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Lord, I thank you so much for taking the time today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it, and thanks everybody in the Splat universe for listening. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I'll see you at a convention this year, and I'll continue watching.
I hope so. Yeah. Keep in touch, and I'll get you into the con. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir.
Take care. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Lord Blood-Rah. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, Lord. Oh, my God. I just love horror hosts. They are the absolute best, and you certainly are one of the best, Lord. You are a total mensch, and I'm glad we got to talk today. And I will meet you at a convention in the future. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.